Because if they take your child to California and they fill out one piece of paper, just fill out one piece of paper, no, nothing notarized, just simply fill out one piece of paper. The state of California is going to be involved in the legal process of kidnapping your minor child. All of this sounds too crazy. It's like, no, he has to be exaggerating. Yeah, that's what I asked her last night. This sounds so crazy. It has to be exaggeration. It's not. She's an attorney and she's very careful. How many of you know who Jack Hibbs is? Jack Hibbs. He's the pastor of a Calvary Chapel church in California. He is on video. Maybe I'll find the video. Maybe we could find that video, Logan. Play it. Jack Hibbs is saying that if this bill becomes law in California, you should, and you're a parent, you should pack up your bags and get out of California. Now, I don't know about you, but if you're the pastor of a church and you have spent years building up that flock, which he's done, do you think on a whim he's going to just encourage his congregation, his sheep, to scatter? No, but he's being a good shepherd. And he's warning the flock that if this bill passes, you are going to need to flee the state of California. I'm going to play the video, which is audio, obviously, for radio. I'm going to play it right now, and I need you to tweet, text, email, Facebook, Getter, Truth Social. Tell everybody you know to tune in at worldviewtube.com. Tune in to the VCY America terrestrial station you're listening to in your market, whatever those call letters are, that frequency is. They can go to vcy.org. We need people listening. Everyone listening. This is a red alert at 1:30 Central. I'm going to go to Dr. Rob Lindstedt first, but listen to what Jack Hibbs just said in the last few days to his church. Listen.
The meat market bill. It is a trafficking bill. It is unbelievable. So much so, don't believe me. Go to realimpact.us. It allows an individual to obtain this new form that comes with the bill. They fill it out, and they can name a child. John goes to a school in California and says, I have this form, and I am asking for Susie Q to be received into my custody. I want to take her out of school. The bill does not require a background check for this man, requires no identification, no driver's license, no nothing. There's no requirement in the bill for the school to call you to ask you if it's okay if John takes your daughter out of school. If this bill passes, I am going to ask you to leave the state of California. You're going to need to pack up and you're going to have to get out. You got to get out. You got to run with your kids. You got to go.
And if you do, all I say is don't bring your California garbage to Tennessee, which I can't imagine any of you listening to this broadcast are going to do that anyway. Your worldview is probably that of a Christian worldview, or you wouldn't be listening to this program, unless you're just hostile and you like to try to get into the phone calls to do a spiritual attack on us. Or you're monitoring us, because there are some out there that just like to monitor the program. But the bulk of you, 99.99% of you, are on board with our worldview. So you're welcome to come here to Dixie, Tennessee, the South. But any of your friends, any of your crazy liberal friends that don't like this bill but are liberal and every other way, tell them they are not welcome. The door is closed. We're not going to California our Tennessee or Alabama or these other states that have stood up to this. But yes, you're welcome. And maybe Jack Hibbs himself will come here to Tennessee and bring his whole church here and just set up camp here. Hey, I got my editor and her husband and family out of California. How long did I get Jill and her family out of there? 5 years ago? It's been 5 years? She's a lifelong Californian. I knew her dad. That's how I met her. Her dad was a world-renowned surgeon who loved my broadcast. World-renowned surgeon. He loved my broadcast. We became friends, and he introduced me to his daughter and son-in-law. And she became my editor, still is. And I just begged them, get out of California, get out of California, get out of California. And they did about 5 years ago. And they live in the Knoxville area. And they love it. I wish they'd done it sooner. And I guess the church they go to, the pastor asked them this last week or recently, how many of you are from California? Over half the church raised their hand. Yeah. This is a red alert, folks. 1:30 Central. WorldviewTube.com, VCY.org. Whatever, WRS done in Jacksonville, Florida. Whatever you're listening to, the frequency, text it to you. If you're on a VCY station or WROS, text that frequency. We're not trying to draw the people away from those channels. Just text that frequency. Say, turn on, whatever it is, FM or AM at 1:30 Central. You got to hear this. This is very serious. It involves every one of us. Just because it's in California doesn't mean it doesn't impact you. It does. All right? Joining me now is Dr. Rob Lindstedt. We're going to talk about the Middle East and several other things. Dr. Lindstedt, welcome to the broadcast. Thank you for being with us.
Yeah, my pleasure. Glad to be with you today.
As a pastor, as a grandfather, as a parent, as a Christian school founder and administrator, what do you make of what I just played? What do you make of this bill pending in California where a child could be literally kidnapped out of your state, any other state, taken there with one form, one document? They can actually start changing their name, and good luck getting your kid back and getting the state of California to help you find your child who is now seeking sanctuary there for abortion services, Planned Parenthood services, if you will, contraceptive services, transgender services. Can you believe we're having this conversation in America?
No, it really is hard to believe because, and you're right, we got to stop it in California. So I hope it doesn't pass. But I think we have to show the whole liberal agenda that we're not going to tolerate that. That's not our American values, and so we can't allow their values that are weird. They're strange. They're crazy. They're anti-God. We just have to say no. We're not going to put up with that. And so I think Jack Hibbs is asking, I think, for maybe it was 10,000 people to show up, and I hope he gets that, and I hope he gets twice that many.
Yeah, he's doing a rally in Sacramento on the Capitol steps, August 19th. And Nicole was asked to speak, but she's going to be, I think, appearing in court with a very, very huge case that she'll be bringing us information on later. But she'll be with us at the bottom of the hour. All right, we're going to pause for her and then come back to Dr. Lindstedt. But Dr. Lindstedt, let's get to the Middle East. What's the latest there that you're hearing about?
Well, this 3-week period, they call it the lamentation for the destruction of the temples. In the history of Israel, it's quite strange that two temples, temple number 1, and we would call that Solomon's temple, and temple, I call it 4, Herod's temple, were both destroyed on the very same calendar day of the year. And so about this time, the 9th of Av is what they call it, there's a lamentation. This year, a strange development occurred because at this time when usually Israel goes into 3 weeks of mourning for this, there are those that are associated with the rebuilding of the temple that are saying, let's rejoice. And this swing of moods has been incredible. Matter of fact, it's captured Israel like nothing I've seen in a long time. They're actually, and we got a little video clip we sent you, they're actually putting flags up welcoming the beginning of the 3rd temple. And people that are not into this, they say, why are you putting these flags up? And so we're seeing a resurgence of this. I sent a PowerPoint, and what's interesting.
And by the way, we're trying to pull up that PowerPoint, Logan. There's nothing attached. Logan's grabbing it. All right, I guess he has it in another folder I don't have access to. All right, sorry, keep going.
So if you lay out the tabernacles in temples, what's interesting is that there's seven that go all the way from when they were in the wilderness. Then they went to Shiloh for 369 years. And then when you come to the one that's in the tribulation time, that's number 6. Number 7 would be in the millennial kingdom.
Huh.
He uses a different temple in the millennial kingdom than the tribulation. I think it's very much like the altar of Elijah, because remember, the Antichrist is going to desecrate the tabernacle or temple in the tribulation time. And among the things that I think is very unique, just this past week, as we're talking about these flags, talking about building a new temple, they said that we could erect this and be ready to sacrifice in 3 hours.
Woo.
So it's not going to be a building. I know everyone thinks it's going to be a building. No, I take literally what it says in Acts 15, the tabernacle of David. David didn't have a tabernacle, a temple. He had a tabernacle. And in the PowerPoint, if we get a chance to look at it, I'll show you the comparison between Solomon's temple, spectacular, beautiful. But what Herod had was so much bigger. But they were both destroyed on the same day by the enemies of Israel. And now as they come back, they're excited. So a couple of things have happened. Because the United States backed Israel, and we had the 12-day war with Iran, all of a sudden Israel's become very emboldened. I'm glad. A couple of things are happening. Number one, in Hebron, Israel is about to take back Hebron. Why is that important? Well, the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, their wives are buried there. It's our Washington, D.C. It's the home of George Washington. It's the home of all these people. So that's a big thing.
Oh, right there, because I don't want to miss any of this with Dr. Rob Lindstedt. Bible Tip Now, BibleTipNow.org. More on the other side of the break. Don't go away. Hello, I'm Brandon House. I want to thank you for all your support at WVWFoundation.com that helps make possible pushing out 24/7 content for free. Without your support, we'd have to put it all behind a paywall. But thanks to you and your support through our foundation, we're able to push it out for free as a broadcast service and broadcast ministry of WVW Foundation. Please consider going there and setting up an automatic monthly contribution, or go there and make an occasional contribution. If you prefer to support us through the mail, you'll find our mailing address there at WVWFoundation.com. You can also call and make your contribution over the phone by calling 901-825-0652. That's 901-825-0652. Again, all these details are available at WVWFoundation.com. Thank you for your support as we try to help people around the world understand the times through the lens of a Christian worldview. All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. Worldview Radio, our website, worldviewradio.com. Dr. Rob Lindstedt, his show is each and every day at worldviewtube.com as well, worldviewtube.com. All right, Dr. Lindstedt, by the way, I just saw this during the break. Here is an article at All Israel News, published August 4th. That was yesterday. A sign of the times? Question mark. Unofficial road signs to the third temple appearing. They're already throwing up road signs to the third temple.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. All right. Now we got the red heifers there. You think they can do this temporary tabernacle in 3 days? Now, you mentioned that Israel is about to take back where the patriarchs are buried, what would be like our Mount Vernon of George Washington, etc. Where is that? Where is that in Israel?
Okay. Yes, that's south. That's south of Jerusalem, an hour and a half. It's been a stronghold of the Palestinians for 15, 20 years. But what has taken place when the United States and Trump backed Israel and they went against Iran, that so deflated the Islamic point of view that now they're not only taking Hebron, but I hope we got a little video clip in there that shows what they did the other day. Let's see. Yeah, stop at that one for just a minute. And so yesterday they were on the Temple Mount. Ben-Gvir led them in a prayer. They were laying there prostrate. They had flags. I have the video of it on the Temple Mount between Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock. Israeli flags are flying, and they're singing chants and praises to Jehovah God.
And that's in Hebron?
That's in Jerusalem. But
In
the reason
Jerusalem.
they do it is because the same people that were in control of Hebron are now afraid because they say, wow, Israel's getting bold because they know that the United States is backing them. I don't think they're afraid of Netanyahu, but they don't want to mess with Trump. And let me just tell you this. I think God is blessing Israel, or United States right now, because we took a bold stand with Israel. Look at Europe. Look at the United Nations this week. The chickens ran. But thank God that the United States, we have a lot of friends, but we only have one partner. And our partner is Israel. So what you see there is a picture of Jerusalem during the days of Jesus. Now flip just one more. Yeah. So there we go. That's what we call the Western Wall, and the parade of people that are there. And so the lamentation.
So this is a brand new video of them packing in there. This is a brand new video?
Yeah. It is a brand new video. They've never seen this kind of crowds before. They're so excited because instead of weeping over the fact that 2 temples were destroyed in this day, now they're saying, hey, we're ready to build a third one. And so it's almost changed from crying to rejoicing. If we can go to the end, I have a video clip there, and stop there for a minute. Take a look at this. This compares Solomon's temple. See the little teeny box?
Now explain it to our radio audience because they can't see since it's radio. Explain it to them.
So here's the temple comparison. Solomon's temple, beautiful. It was one of a kind. David himself gave $40 billion in gold. 400 billion in gold, 40 billion in silver. And he says, Solomon, you're richer, you make it grander. He did. No one had seen a building like that. It's destroyed by the Babylonians on a particular day. Zerubbabel, Zechariah chapter 4, builds another one smaller. People complained. Herod comes back and he builds the magnificent one. There it is on the right. Look how huge that is. Look how beautiful it is. The gold crown around the top. They said, if you've never seen the temple, you've never seen beauty. Your eyes have never seen beauty. That was destroyed by the Romans. So from that time, if you flip forward now, you'll see that there's other temples, and every one of them has a particular meaning. In the church age, where's the temple? Ephesians says this. It says this, in whom you also are built together for a dwelling place of God in the Spirit. So we're the dwelling place of God now. Now flip one more. We're at the crux of it. Yeah. So the tribulation, look at that picture. Do you see how you could line up a temple with the east gate, with the rabbi's tunnel, and it's just to the north of the Dome of the Rock? I really believe that they'll erect a temple there, but I think it's going to be a temporary one called the Tabernacle of David. Now, if you can get Logan to flip to the end, there's a clip there that talks about, another one or two, and one more clip. I hope it's one more. Yeah, play this one. There's 2 little short clips. She's going to talk about these flags that you just mentioned. It's causing an uproar like they have not seen in the Middle East for decades. Okay, listen to what she says.
Okay, Logan is telling me he can't get audio on that. So I am now going to have to download it on. He didn't realize there was a video playing in there.
Okay.
I'm going to have to download it and play that for you guys. But don't you know, I've got some kind of antivirus software. All right, so let's download it anyway. Hope you didn't send me a virus, Dr. Lindstedt.
Okay, and maybe, what about the next one? Because I broke that one into 2.
Okay.
Let's see if it's the same lady.
And what is she saying? Give us a recap while it's downloading. Okay. It's a big file, by the way.
Yeah, okay, so she's saying, hey, people are saying, okay, what's going on? Just like you said in that article, flags are appearing all over even in the West Bank, saying the third temple's coming. Now, and then she says, and we can have it ready in 3 hours to several days. Now, how do you build a building in 3 hours to several days? You can't. But you could pitch a tabernacle, a temporary building. And they say they would be ready to sacrifice. Why? Because they have the red heifers. They're ready to cremate one of those. They have all the instruments, not models of them, all the instruments ready to go. And literally, if they would put up not a building, but like the tabernacle, sheets of material, they'd be ready to do this in just a matter of hours. That's the excitement that's taking place in Israel. The
Wow.
reason I'm excited is because one of the indicators for the last days, Hosea chapter 3, it said this: you're going to be without a sacrifice. You're going to be without the ephod. You're going to be without all these things until the last days. In the last days, you're going to return again to these sacrifices and temples. To me, it's a sign that we're living close to the tribulation period of time. And I'm one of those who believes that before the tribulation starts, true Christians are raptured, we're gone. So this could not be a more exciting time. And
so again, what you're looking at here are signs of the time. And we quoted earlier this
Absolutely.
week, Jesus chided the religious leaders of his day. You could discern the weather, but you cannot discern the times. We had a caller call in the other day. He likes to call and leave harassing voicemails for our ministry. And he got through the other day. And he was saying, we're crying wolf, wolf, by saying that we're in the last days. But here you are laying out all the biblical signs that we're to be watching for, correct?
Absolutely. You know, let me just tell you, the change is not just in prophecy preachers like myself, but let's take a look at Israel. Okay, there was a time when in Shiloh, they said, we don't even know if Shiloh was the right place where Joshua built the temple. And they made fun of some other discoveries. Well, a friend of mine that I've quoted on this show several times, Dr. Scott Stripling, he designed a new way to sift through the debris. He went back to Shiloh, sifted through the debris, and in there he found something that shocked the world. Matter of fact, again, this month, they just reran another story on Shiloh. We happen to be there on the day they discover what they think is the fourth corner of the Holy of Holies. It's Jewish. Next, using the new sifting technique, they found a lead weight. It's not even an inch by an inch. It's folded in half. They have the most up-to-date cryptic methods to find out what it said, fold it up. First, they said it's just a fishing weight. No, on that little small tablet of lead, they found the name Yahweh 2 times. That says it's Jewish. Matter of fact, it's the oldest written Yahweh that we know of ever discovered. Then it also gave exactly the curses that are recorded in the Bible. And so no one could say, okay, this is not Jewish. It had to be Jewish. This is not a fishing weight. You don't write Yahweh and the curses on a lead fishing weight. Here's the next piece of evidence. Unbelievable. In the Bible, it says that the Jews separated their sacrifices. They gave the left side to God to burn. The right side they gave to the priest to consume as part of their food. In the bone graveyard there at Shiloh, where the tabernacle first came after the wilderness, they looked, and in that bone graveyard, about 3/4 of the bones are right sides. No other people ever divided their sacrifices right and left side.
Wow.
So you have a tablet that has the name of in Hebrew, has the name of Yahweh. You have the curses exactly recorded in the Bible, exactly as recorded in the Bible. And then because of that, I said, okay, let's dig down lower. So Dr. Scott got them to go down to the next level. When they did, they found the stone that I think is the altar of Joshua. How do we distinguish? The upper one, before they went down that low, it was with cut stone. The Bible said, no, I don't accept an altar with a cut stone. It's got to be uncut stone. In other words, man's work doesn't contribute to the altar that God's going to accept. They went down, there it is, an altar with uncut stones. I mean, these are incredible finds. It's all taking place right now. And then we fast forward to what's taking place in terms of the red heifer, in terms of the excitement to build the third temple. We're living in very
So
exciting
Dr. Lindsay,
times.
will they use that altar that they uncover? Will they use that in this tabernacle?
No, I don't think they will, because I think they're moving forward. And they have to have it on the Mount Moriah.
Okay. Here's that video. We got that video. I think we got it downloaded finally. You want to play it, Logan?
Everyone's asking me for an update on the viral video of the Temple Mount road signs. This is crazy. You have to check this out. Now we have Third Temple flags going up in Judea and Samaria, all over the West Bank, angering Palestinians and causing a total uproar. They are complaining on Twitter that these flags have been put up for the past few weeks, and once they get put up, they are never taken back down. What's even crazier is that this week, Israel took control of the tomb of the patriarchs back from the Jordanian Waqf to do significant structural upgrades, which is completely unprecedented in history. Why is this significant for the Temple Mount? Because the Jordanian Waqf also controls the Temple Mount. So this is setting a precedent that if the control is given over to Israel for another religious monument, you can see where I'm going. Now, you may or may not know that we are in the 3 weeks preceding the 9th of Av, which is the morning of the destruction of the first and second temples. Well, the Temple Institute published a podcast this week, and at the 1354 minute mark, he said, now that Israel is back in the land and has sovereignty over the Temple Mount, simply mourning isn't enough. The mourning has to be transformed into focusing on rebuilding. Study, research, prepare things, preparing vessels, teaching, and educating is all crucial. The Temple Institute has been involved in this for 40 years, and the tremendous progress has been made, and this was not on the radar then. Then at 1946, he said, once God sees it matters to us this much, it's in, he's here, God's waiting for this. It's not up to Mashiach, it's not up to the Messiah to build the Holy Temple, it's up to us. And when the time comes, Israel is entitled to ask for help from the Gentile.
Wow. Okay, this is moving very, very quickly. Have you done a whole presentation on this yet?
Yes, I have. And
Is it at BibleChipNow.org?
no, there's a summary of it
Okay.
on our last weekly show.
Okay.
This coming week, we'll put it on our weekly show, and maybe starting on Monday, I'll have it on my daily broadcast.
Perfect. Hold right there. Of course, all that's at worldviewtube.com. Have you texted? Have you alerted everybody? Nicole Pearson next. Stand by, Dr. Rob.
I'll tell you one little quick story. We had a Worldview weekend client who lived in California, lost their house. Very wealthy guy. He didn't use Bitcoin. He came over here, drove to Arizona with $286,000 worth of his gold because he had no money and no house available. His bank was shut down because he couldn't have access to his bank account.
Was this during the fire? Was this during the fires?
During the fire. Didn't have his driver's license. He lost it. The state wouldn't give him a new license because he had no active mailing address. Real mess. So he came to Arizona to buy a house. He's moving everything over. He said, the only thing I got in my possession that I can get liquid with right now is my gold. I gave him a check for $286,000, and guess what? I didn't need his social, his driver's license. Sort of smiled, and I said, you know, I know you and Brandon talked about how this worked, but boy, this is great. I feel good. I got my money. Nobody bothered me, and I'm protected, and it's private.
Just simply go to worldviewgold.com, fill out the form, worldviewgold.com. WorldviewRadio.com. Be sure to stay tuned for Crosstalk with Jim Schneider, America's original Christian talk program since the 1970s, coming up at 2 p.m. Central here on this terrestrial station you're listening to. If it's a VCY station, which they all are, except for WROS out of Jacksonville, Florida. You can also go to VCY, vcy.org, vcy.org. Now, I hope you have gone out and put out a tweet, text, email, Facebook, Getter, True Social, whatever you need to do, because we have a red alert that impacts all of us. Even though it's a California bill, it, well, impacts every one of us. Now, Dr. Lindstedt is standing by. We'll get right back to him, but we need to bring in attorney Nicole Pearson. First, before we go to her, I want you to hear what she testified before a committee in California just the other day. Listen to this, and then we're going to be joined live by attorney Nicole Pearson. Listen to this, my friends.
Nicole Pearson. I'm a mother of three, a child of immigrants, and an attorney who spent her career helping immigrants and fighting human trafficking. I am also desperate to help children affected by ICE raids, but AB 495 is not it. We all know this because in 2021, the federal government faced a swell of unaccompanied minors at the border and was desperate to place them quickly. What did they do? They reduced vetting procedures, and as a result, the Department of Homeland Security has lost track of over now 600,000 unaccompanied minors. Despite this, California wants to do something similar, but even worse. With just one sheet of paper from the internet, California wants to let someone that is not related to your child remove her from school, enroll her in any other school in the state, authorize any medical treatment of her, including mental health services and drugs, without the parent's notice and knowledge or consent. This is not fear-mongering. I'm not being hyperbolic. It's stated right here in the caretaker's affidavit that I printed for you, which I pulled directly from the bill. Line 6 allows this transfer of parental rights without even having to speak to the parent. The author claims AB 495 is about giving immigrant families the agency to choose the safety plan that works, that preserves family unity. Where is the parental designation? Their signature at the bottom here is not required. She's co-opting a term non-relative family member from the foster care and dependency probate systems, but without any of the procedural guardrails. No background checks, no interviews, no home visits, no fingerprinting, parental involvement, or civil, criminal, or professional liability if the child is harmed. Just 100% blanket protection for any adult seeking to abuse any vulnerable child, because this does not limit it to immigrant children. This applies to every single child in the state. Our children deserve to be protected through proper legal channels that currently exist, that have safeguards, and not just shortcuts that enable exploitation. We appreciate the author's intentions, but these unintended consequences are terrifying and they're unavoidable. We have systems and agencies in place that track and ensure children are safe and returned to their parents while respecting parental rights. We can and must support immigrant families with solutions that don't gamble children's lives. Please vote no on AB 495. I remain committed and offer my services to the Assemblywoman free of charge to help find solutions that work and actually achieve her goals. Thank you.
All right, now Nicole's website is facts. You ready for this? It's a long one. factslawtruthjustice.com. factslawtruthjustice.com. She joins us now. Again, this sounds almost like it's just too unbelievable to be true. But what you're telling me is anyone listening today outside of California, let's say here in my state of Tennessee, let's say a 14-year-old girl has a 20-year-old boyfriend. Tell me what that 20-year-old boyfriend could do with that, quote, 14-year-old here in Tennessee, taking them to California under what guise, and what does he need to do to keep her away from her parents? How would that run down?
Well, California is a sanctuary state. And as you and I have discussed many times, they have these incremental bills or these bootstrapping bills. So slowly but surely, they have been setting up the perfect trap, the recipe to literally disappear minors, children. So California is a sanctuary state. Two bills that passed were Senate Bill 107 and then Nancy Skinner's bill, Senate Bill 435, I believe it was, that I testified against 2 or 3 years ago, and 2 years ago, excuse me. So any child that is brought here to California to receive gender affirming or sexual reproductive health care will be protected by law enforcement and the courts, and obviously the California legislators who voted in favor of these two bills. And they will not cooperate with the lawful orders or the subpoenas or the warrants of your conservative home state where you think you have legal custody of your child and are the only one who can make these types of decisions on behalf of him or her.
So it does not have to be just for LGBTQ. Again, let's say some 20-year-old kid, 19-year-old kid makes it into the life of a 14-year-old somehow, either through, any of these social media platforms or they somewhere bumped into each other in town. He decides he's going to transport her to California, not under the LGBTQ ideology, but under receiving reproductive health care.
Mm-hmm. Well, by the way, they don't actually have to, but I mean, let's just call it. I know you're trying to be eloquent or be delicate, in the way that you're couching. If a 19-year-old boy impregnates his 16-year-old girlfriend and you're in Tennessee and the laws have changed now, and I have not followed the abortion laws that have changed since the Dobbs decision, but you live in a state where that child cannot receive an abortion without their parents' knowledge or consent, then he can bring her here to California to get an abortion, again, against your wishes, against your consent, without your knowledge, and he and she will be protected. Law enforcement will not cooperate with you. The courts will not cooperate with you to extradite your child back to his or her home state. So that is the scenario that we're talking about here.
What if it's not abortion? What if it's they want he wants to get her on the pill? Is that not considered?
Perfect.
So it doesn't even have to be
Anything.
an abortion. It could just be
No.
anything they can come up with.
Absolutely. And they just have to say that, right? They just have to say, we're here to get gender affirming. No one's following them. No one is paying attention. But when you go to court or you go to the police station and you go with your order that says, or even your ex-husband or your ex-wife, and you go to the California court and you say, here's our legal custody order from Texas or from Tennessee. I have legal custody. He cannot give her gender affirming. He cannot consent to this gender affirming care. He cannot consent to the sexual reproductive care. The courts will just have to say, I'm sorry, this is a sanctuary state. We're not going to order the sheriffs to deliver your child into your custody, even though you have a lawful order from your court in your home state that says that you are the only one entitled or with the authority to make those decisions on behalf of your child.
So this is a kidnap. This is legalized sex trafficking, legalized kidnapping. So it doesn't have to be a 19, 20-year-old kid with a 14, 15, 16-year-old girlfriend or girl that he's trafficked. Maybe it's not his girlfriend. Maybe it's somebody's trafficking.
Yes.
It could be a 13-year-old boy that's been groomed by some older man as well.
Yes.
And so they can come up with anything they want. And even, it sounds like there's no proving that's what they're there for. So they could claim whatever they want. There's no proof that they're there for those services per se.
Right, exactly. I mean, California legislators have made California a sex traffickers, human traffickers, groomers paradise. I mean, we have those sanctuary state bills. You guys know that it's also an immigration sanctuary state where law enforcement is not allowed to ask. They're not allowed or required to cooperate with the federal agents. You also know that, here they are also protected because they have what's called Assembly Bill 223, which allows an adult to take a minor into a court and initiate confidential legal proceedings to change a minor's name, gender, sex identifier. That was AB 223 that passed last year. This year, that's Christopher Ward's bill. This year, Assemblyman Rick Zabur wants to expedite those confidential proceedings so that they should occur under less than six weeks. California is a hub of human trafficking. It's one of the largest destinations for the consumers of child sex abuse material, of not just that, but also just sexual human trafficking. And it's rightfully so because we protect predators here. We make it easy. We have AB 1955, which allows teachers to have inappropriate conversations with your child, show them inappropriate materials, and keep secrets, like actively keep secrets, have a shadow file for your child. So when you come in to talk about Bobby, your teacher presents all the documents with Bobby's name on it, even though Bobby goes by Belinda all throughout the school day. And we have the governor, we have the Attorney General Rob Bonta, we have the Superintendent of Public Instruction, Tony Thurman, initiating lawsuits against conservative school districts and parents who are trying to set aside these bills or pass their own declarations in their school district, resolutions, to try and just require teachers to follow the law and tell parents when their children are suffering or are having issues and struggling at school. So this is already happening in California. Now we have legislators passing laws to codify or make this illegal, immoral, disgusting, depraved behavior legal. And then when parents or school districts or conservative teachers decide to basically retaliate or rise up and protect themselves, we actually have our very own governor and our attorney general suing us. So that's where, California is a dangerous place for children who live here and children who can be brought here and whose kidnappers will be protected.
And it's just horrific. It is, as a father, as a grandfather, it is horrific to think about this and the implications of it at so many levels, Nicole. Folks, it's truth. I really want to point you to this website, okay? It's factslawtruthjustice.com. If you'll go there right now, factslawtruthjustice.com, scroll to the bottom of the page. When you get to the very bottom, you're going to see some icons. One for Rumble, one for Instagram, one for Telegram, one for Twitter, and then there's one for Substack. Hover your cursor over the icon for Substack and click it. When you do, it is going to open up her Substack, okay? And you're going to be able to find all her articles. She has one that's posted called California's Plan to Hand Vulnerable Children to Traffickers plus Gender Radicals. It's dated, updated August 1st. August 1st is when it was put out, okay? You need to read this. You need to share this. When is this bill to be voted on, Nicole?
So it's already flown through under the radar through the Assembly. So it's Assembly Bill 495. It already passed through the Assembly. It's now in the Senate. I testified in front of the Senate Human Services Committee. That's what you just showed earlier. And now goes August 18th to the Senate Appropriations Committee, where they'll be considering the fiscal impact of this bill if it does pass. Obviously, our opinion is that it's going to cost the state tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars trying to track down these children. And the lawsuits that will be launched if a child is kidnapped or if they are subjected to medical care that the parent did not consent to. So we think that it'll have a large fiscal impact. We're asking anybody who can attend the hearing on Monday, the 18th, to show up. And if not, to show up on the 19th, where Jack Hibbs and Real Impact USA are also doing their own lobby day and rally. They are not able to attend the hearing. So if you can make one of those days, both of those days, that would be amazing. If you can't make either, which I really don't think should be the case, is that you need to be contacting your senator. Please be contacting the Senate committee members, the Appropriations Committee members. Tell them they need to vote no, at the very least stay off this bill. It's not necessary. Everything that the Assemblywoman thinks undocumented immigrant parents need to protect their children is already in existence. We have child protective services, probate, dependency proceedings, an existing existing caregivers affidavit that already exists that can help these parents. This bill is not necessary. It's dangerous. It broadens the definition of who has access to these children, what they can consent to. And there's zero guardrails, like you said, zero procedural safeguards.
Hold right there. We'll come right back. Go a little bit more with Nicole. Don't go away, folks.
Okay.
I'll tell you one little.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work. Try to see a doctor this week, or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Go to worldviewhealthcare.com. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. worldviewhealthcare.com. That's worldviewhealthcare.com.
The emergency kit available at worldviewhealthcare.com. Make sure you don't have to go to urgent care. I got pneumonia. I didn't have to go. All right, factslawtruthjustice.com, factslawtruthjustice.com. Just a couple more minutes with Nicole, then we'll run back to Dr. Lindstedt to wrap up. We're going to stay on this. Jack Hibbs, you heard the video at the beginning of the broadcast. I have never in my life ever heard a pastor tell a congregation that you may need to leave the state, and thus, of course, his church, right, that he's built. God builds the church, but he is shepherding this church, right? And to think that he's saying to his congregation, you may have to flee. It's selfless. And I really commend Pastor Hibbs for saying this, because I don't know that many pastors today would do that. Because, I mean, this is how the gentleman makes his living and it's his calling. But he's basically telling his congregation, we're going to have to close it down because most of you are going to have to go. That should tell you the level of which it is scaring Pastor Jack Hibbs. Let me come back to Nicole real quick. Nicole, you say all they have to do is fill out one piece of paper, not notarized, nothing. Get that child from whatever state we are in the union over to California with that one piece of paper, and then within 6 weeks they can change the name. How would a parent even find their child if the name has been changed?
You won't, because of the other bills that I've mentioned to you, where California is protecting, for example, teachers and medical professionals from having to relay this information to the parents. So we have Assembly Bill 665, which says children can run away from home. They have to make a good faith attempt to contact the parents once they're in this government-run, state-run residential shelter. If they don't contact the parents, too bad, so sad. Assembly Bill 223 says we can change their birth records. We don't confidentially. We have Assembly Bill 1955. If something's going on with the child, noticeably, present in this AB 495 is that Celeste Rodriguez identifies teachers and medical professionals, not the child's medical provider, but medical professionals like counselors in these schools, AKA groomers in these residential shelters, who can keep secrets legally from parents. So it is a predator's just a dream come true here in California. It's extremely dangerous. And, I would just like to say that I respect Jax and I appreciate him so much. And I completely agree with you that what he says is extremely powerful and should be given significant weight. But if no child in this country is safe, if AB 495 passes, every child can be brought here and subjected to this affidavit and disappear.
So even leaving the state of California is not going to protect you. Now, instead of Californians being at risk, all the children of America are at risk.
Right. And we talk about this all the time. We're at war. If we let California fall, then they've already taken New York, they've taken Louisiana, they've taken Illinois, and they have all the strongholds, the borders of this country to control us and to really devastate us with transit and transportation and methods of egress and ingress. I mean, this is a war, a non-traditional war, without the guns and the missiles and the bombs and the bullets. But this is how they're going to conduct the lawfare. And if we have parents desperately searching for their children and fighting for their children in court, even though they've done nothing wrong to lose access to their child. We'll have them distracted. We'll have them defeated, spending their resources doing that, heartbroken, able to be controlled and manipulated by the government because they are destroyed shells of human beings. I mean, and then they'll also have our children.
And I would predict, Nicole, if this passes, you will have former Navy SEALs, former military special forces guys, one who's on my Rolodex, because I know he does this. I can call him 24 hours a day, because I'm going to call him before I call the police, because they're just going to take a report by and large. He's the first guy I call, and he flies here, and his team, and if, God forbid, someone in my family is kidnapped or taken, his team is going to be the team that goes and finds them. And I believe they're,
we have those.
You have those?
Yeah. No, sorry. I'm grateful that we have those. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm blinking back tears because that's what it's going to take when we have the courts and the law enforcement working in cahoots. And it makes me sick because Celeste Rodriguez and her supporters are riding on the backs of some of the most vulnerable children and families in our communities. These undocumented immigrants who are in hiding, who are being picked up on the streets, they're terrified. And they have resources. Even when a person gets picked up, you're a parent, you're on drugs with your husband, and you guys get picked up on the street and taken to prison, the first thing that you get is access to legal, obviously you get booked, they read you your rights, but you have access to a free counsel that taxpayers pay for. You get the first questions that come out of their mouth are, do you have children? Who is your next of kin? So even criminals, whether they're drug addicts, they're prostitutes, they're traffickers, they're undocumented immigrants, and they're taken into custody, they have already systems in place to protect children who could be left alone. And those processes are in conjunction with dependency proceedings, with the court system, with child protective systems, so that they can assign the child a caseworker, a case number, have hearings, have home interviews, place that child immediately. Existing law is any child that's left alone, unaccompanied, is immediately taken into custody. And then within the first 72 hours, they try to make an emergency placement with the next of kin. If that doesn't happen, then they're placed into foster care. And then that foster care person, and I'm not saying California foster care system or CPS is perfect by any means, but when we're trying to track, and I hate tracking people, but we have to monitor where these children are going and have some sort of backstop before we strip. If you really care about undocumented immigrants and you care about their rights as parents, we need to be able to know where the child is so we can reunite them if and when the parent is allowed to come back, or even when the parent isn't allowed to come back, we need to be able to return the child to the parent. How is that going to happen when Celeste has broadened this definition of anybody who can take this child without any procedural guardrails in place? It is a recipe for disappearing children and then abusing them.
And you're changing their name.
Bad policies.
Changing their name, changing their birth date. So listening friends living outside of California, how are you going to find your son or your daughter when all the resources of the state of California are at use to hide your child from you? Which, by the way, California, I understand, pays in way more money to the federal government than they ever get back. So California has a lot of money. And you think you're going to go up against that? I hate to say it, but they're going to be special teams that are put together that will go and help find these children, because it'll take professionals to do it. And you're not going to get help, I don't think, from your state government in Tennessee. They're going to say, I'm sorry, that's a California problem now.
They can't. Like with the other laws that we were talking about, they can't even do it. If you come with a subpoena, you come with a warrant. If your child is here and that adult says, I have the child, but she's receiving gender affirming care or sexual reproductive health care, they can't touch it. If the child is here, it's an immigration issue. We can't touch it. We've already seen, you've seen Bill Asaley, who's now working with Trump, with the administration. Yep. We can't touch it. And I just want to say, in California,
the computer's going to take it away. Computer's going to take it away, but facts, law, truth, justice. Facts, law, truth, justice.com. Take care, guys.
This has been Worldview Radio with Brandon.
All right, we're going to come back in to WROS out of Jacksonville, Florida, and Worldview 2. We just dropped the VCY stations. But go ahead and finish up, Nicole, real quick. I'm going to get a response from Dr. Lindstedt. Go ahead, Nicole.
People are going to hear that this caretaker's affidavit already exists in the state, and it does. It's horrible. It's already a horrible situation. We don't need to make it worse. Everyone in this country is presumed innocent until proven guilty. We cannot be stripping people, parents and guardians, of their legal rights without due process of law, and removing their children from their custody and care without any procedural guardrails in place to ensure they are reunited when the time is appropriate.
This story, folks, needs to go far and wide. We're going to be posting this interview that you just heard with Nicole as a standalone by itself in a matter of minutes. We're going to get it back up online at worldviewtube.com for you to share far and wide. Guys in the control room, we need this chopped up, put over every social media platform we have. We need all of this to go viral and for people to find out about this and find out about facts, law, truth, justice.com and what Nicole is doing, and this rally coming the 19th of August led by Jack Hibbs on the state Capitol steps. And when will this bill finally be voted on to see if it becomes law? What's the time frame?
We don't know. And you know, when they have controversial bills, as soon as the momentum starts, it could literally, and that was the reason I did speak with Jack's team, that they want to rally on the 19th. So if it passes out of the Senate Appropriations Committee hearing on Monday, the 18th, they want to be ready to rock and roll on the 19th to do a lobby day, to meet with the representatives, the legislators, to make them, our opposition heard, because it could be heard any day. And with controversial bills like this, they can ram it through any day to be heard on the Senate floor. If it passes the Senate floor, then it goes to Gavin Newsom's desk. So we need to be putting pressure on the Senate Appropriation Committee members, our respective senators, and then on Gavin Newsom to veto, or at the very least vote no, or excuse me, to veto or vote no on this bill, or at the very least abstain. It's too dangerous. It needs to be worked on. I offered my services for free. That offer has not been accepted, but I am here to work on a bill that actually protects children to the extent it's even necessary, which I don't believe it is.
Wow, aren't you guys thankful for Nicole? FactsLawTruthJustice.com, FactsLawTruthJustice.com, and we'll be putting this up at Worldview 2 for you guys to share everywhere, just in a matter of minutes here at 1:56 p.m. Central Time today, August 5th, 2025. We're going to stay on it. Nicole, you need any airtime? All you got to do is text, and it's yours.
Okay, I love you guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Nicole, she's amazing, isn't she? Wow. Dr. Lindstedt, let's bring you back in here real quick. I only got a couple minutes, but as a church pastor, as a Christian school administrator, how many kids you have going to your school, Dr. Lindstedt?
Around 600 in Wichita, but we have several satellite schools around the world.
Okay, so again, I want you to speak from this perspective. You know kids, you guard kids, you try to protect kids, you train kids. You got many of your graduates are in the NBA. I mean, we've lost track how many of them are in the NBA, not to mention Big Ten schools, etc. Got an amazing program there in Wichita, folks. It's worthy of a movie. I mean, how many of us saw the movie Hoosiers, right? Back in the day? They could make a whole movie. Logan, maybe we should do that. Let's write a movie script and produce a movie with AI, because it's getting really good, about Dr. Lindstedt. Here we go. He'd be the Gene Hackman of our own show. But can you believe what you just heard, Dr. Lindstedt?
Yeah, it's hard to believe. And Jack Hibbs is a very reputable person, excellent Bible teacher, excellent Bible prophecy, very concerning. You know, our friend that called in and said, well, we're kind of doomsday people. We're always calling woof woof. Here's what I say. I think we're at crunch time. You know, a lot of times, let's just take the NBA. You know, they mess around for 3 quarters. Finally, the last quarter, they start getting serious. The last 2 or 3 minutes, they're playing hard. And that's what's going on. Here we are. It's attacking our homes, our families. That's exactly what they want to attack. And this bill would be a disaster. Like you say, every state would be affected. I look at what's taking place in the Middle East, the controversy of Israel dividing. The world's suddenly turning against Israel again. They turned against them during the October 7th situation. Now they're coming back. Now they're mad again. Why? Because Israel's found out they can't live with Hamas on the southern border. So now the world says, no, let's make Israel the goat again. I see so many things that are coming to an apex right now, and I don't think it's going to continue this way. Why? Because it can't. These things cannot be sustained. So I really think that we're looking at the end time. I think Satan is trying everything he can to uproot everything that's decent and good about the American society. And certainly our families and children are in a very important part, a backbone of this feeling. So I hope that people do respond and do rally. I know this as I'm a great-great-grandfather as of a week ago.
Wow, congratulations.
And, yeah, it's an exciting time for me. And so the kids in my school, many of them I've watched grow up through all their school years. Many of them I brought here from other countries in legal fashion. And I feel like I'm a grandparent to all of these kids. I want them to grow up with wholesome, real values of what a home is like, what a godly home is like.
Amen.
And this is modeled in the Bible. And so
BibleTipNow.org. The computer's going to take it from me. BibleTipNow.org. That's his website. Take care.
Colonel Rob Maness has a lifelong record of providing dedicated service to this nation. Having worked his way up from the enlisted ranks to full colonel, he served our country for more than 32 years. He has served as a bomber squadron commander, bomb disposal technician, Joint Chiefs of Staff operations officer, assisted the national security team with the campaign plan for the global